Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Crazy D's Equipment. Today, let's have a discussion about antique tractor prices. Are they falling? So grab a cup of coffee and let's sit back and have a discussion. So guys, the last couple weeks here and then this last weekend, I've been going to a lot of collector auctions. And I've noticed, at least in the auction format, that it seems that the antique tractor prices aren't as good as they used to be. And so it got me thinking, I had an old gentleman at the auction said, well, collections like this, they're a really good nest egg. And it got me thinking, are they really a good nest egg? Or are you investing your money into something that you're definitely just going to end up losing money in the end? I was doing some research and I was looking at Machinery Pete on Tractor Talk, and he was talking about how in 2014 the average price for a John Deere A was a little over $1,700, and that here recently the average price for a John Deere A is a little over $1,050. That's a pretty good decrease since 2014. And what I've been seeing personally myself, it used to be you could buy a Farmall M and it would be a $1,500, $1,600, $1,700 tractor when you turned around and resold it. And especially if you sold it at auction, especially online auction like Auction Time or Purple Wave or Big Iron. And here I've noticed that the prices on those have definitely slipped. That if you're getting $1,000 to $1,300 for a Farmall M, you're doing pretty good. There's been a lot of discussion here recently on a lot of the tractor forums about is the price of antique tractors falling, and I really honestly personally from what I see firsthand, it does seem to be that way, that they're not exactly the good investment that they used to be. Now when we're talking antique tractors, I think you need to break it up though into the different genres that comes along with it, because if you take everything from, let's say, 1952 to 1930, it definitely seems to me that stuff in that ballpark is definitely losing its value. And that's a lot to do with the guys that grew up farming on those things, grew up driving those. That was my first tractor. The first tractor I bought when I came back from Europe and started farming was a Farmall H or an M or whatever, and I took off farming with it, and that's what I had. And those guys we're losing them every day. We lose another one. Most of those guys are in their late 80s, early 90s. They just don't have the spry ability that they used to have to be able to be in this hobby and to be into those tractors and collect those tractors like they used to. Now, if you want to take from 1950 to let's go 65, those tractors in there. Some of those tractors are really starting to grow in value. Some of them aren't. Some of them are holding pretty strong, like a John Deere 50 today is probably not as worth as much as it was 2 years ago, but it hasn't fallen as much as a John Deere A has, or a John Deere B has. A John Deere B could have easily been a $2,000 to $3,000 tractor. Now, if you can get $1,000 for a good running John Deere B, you've done good. Be proud of yourself. You made a good sale. The values just aren't there like they used to be on those. But let's move up to 60s, the 60s through 70s and 80s. Those tractors, on the other hand, have grown quite a bit in value. A few years ago, and I'm saying like 1990 to 2000, 2001, if you went to a farm sale and there was a D21 on that sale, you could pick it up for $2,000 to $3,000. But now, if you go to a sale like that and you try to pick up that same D21, you better pack the big checkbook, like I've joked before. You're going to end up giving somewhere between 5 to 10 grand to bring that tractor home. And if it's a really nice tractor, you may even give up in the $20,000 range. There's an article by Machinery Pete about a D21 that sold a year ago that had hardly any hours on it and very nice original paint, and it brought 70 grand, $70,000 for an antique tractor. That is amazing, you know. So I guess if you want to buy antique tractors just as a money investment, then I would be looking at buying tractors in the era of the late 60s all the way up to the early 80s. A 1066 has doubled in value. There was a few years ago here that you could pick up a 1066 for $1,500, $1,600. Now you get and that was one that was like condition. Now anything in that series, the 66 series, or anything in that ballpark of an international tractor, you better be prepared to pay. I mean, I don't have any exact numbers for you, but I do know that the values of them have definitely climbed. I mean, just a few months ago, I had a 966 that had it was a 966 that the TA was out in it, and the engine smoked real bad, and I was like, well, what am I going to get out of this tractor? And I listed it on Purple Wave as is, giving out those things wrong with it, and the tractor still brought $8,000. Now, why? And because they're collectible. It went to a collector in Missouri who was going to fix both those issues and was going to put it out in his collection. So let's talk at one other aspect of collecting antique tractors. So I told you, let's break this up into genres. For the, you have the pre-World War I to, or post-World War I, well, not even post-World War I. Let's just say 1930 to 1952 area, and then you have 1930 to turn of the century and then on up. Now, the newer tractors, like we were talking earlier, they are definitely bringing higher values than they were. And I could definitely see it at this last auction I went to. That 1930s to whatever, 1930s to 52 zone, there's definitely been a huge slip in value of those tractors. A's and B's last Saturday were bringing $600 and $700 completely running and restored. And then I seen that very same thing not too long ago here at an auction up north, that A's and B farmalls that were not too long ago $3,000, $4,000, or not $3,000, $4,000, but $1,500 to $2,000 to $2,500 tractors restored are just not bringing the money. And I'll give you an example. I watched many years ago, I watched a 1924 fully restored 1924 Waterloo Boy, John Deere Waterloo Boy, Model N, sell at auction for $61,000. That very same tractor sold not very long ago here, about 6 months ago here. That very same tractor sold for $36,000. Now that's a huge decrease in value. So the older ones, the turn of the century tractors, they're not bringing the kind of money that they used to bring either. So if you're thinking about going out and buying antique tractors as a nest egg, I'm going to say, in most cases, do not do that. If you're going to go out and buy antique tractors because you enjoy antique tractors and you enjoy driving and showing and pulling and doing whatever else we do with our antique tractors and saving the history of of farming, and that's saving the history of whatever country you live in, if it's England or Canada or United States or Australia. You know, by collecting these and keeping them alive, you're keeping that history alive. And that right there is worth every dime and every penny that you spend on these things. So if you're buying them for the thought that later on that antique tractor is going to make you another buck, don't bother. If you're buying them because you enjoy them, because you want to save the history, and they're just wonderful to have around, then I recommend to buy every antique tractor you possibly can. But otherwise, guys, thank you guys for coming in. Thank you for watching this video. If you guys haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Please hit the bell icon. And don't forget our social medias. Instagram, I got tons of new pictures, especially there's a bunch of pictures of the auction that I went to this weekend. And if you want to know what's on the lot and what I got for sale right now and what my antique tractors I have them listed at, go to Omega Ag on Facebook, Omega Ag Sales on Facebook, and you can see what we have on the lot right there. I have a bunch of new stuff that's coming out and I just haven't got it posted yet. And then also, if you just want to see a bunch of pictures of tractors and whatever I'm up to as Crazy D, there's a whole bunch of new stuff up right now on the Crazy D Facebook page. So anyways, guys, thank you for coming in and have a wonderful day.